Hello, greetings. This is Erick Widman from Passage Immigration Law. Thanks so much for tuning in for another live Q&A session where we get to go over the questions you've asked about immigration issues that are pressing in the past week. We have a number of really good questions about family immigration today. So that's one of the things we've specialized in for a while over at Passage Immigration Law. I love family immigration. My wife is from Hungary, and we got married over 20 years ago and love helping other international couples come together. So, along those lines, in regards to family immigration, here is the first question, actually about adjustment of status for parents. I petitioned for adjustment of status for my parents in Portland, Oregon. Their case is pending currently. If they change their address to Arizona, will they be called for an interview there? And should I use the case processing times listed for Phoenix, Arizona instead? However, my address is not changing. Okay, well, great question. And as a starting point, people who are in the immigration process move across the US all the time. So USCIS is familiar with this. And even though sometimes they might botch it up or incorrectly send out notices to the wrong place, as soon as your parents move, they should change their address with USCIS and submit an online change of address form within 10 days of their move. And then it's not immediate, but eventually USCIS will change their address and update it. But for legal purposes, as soon as your parents move and you notify USCIS, their venue and the jurisdiction are changing for your parents. So the location of your parents' case is going to be transferred over to Arizona, to Phoenix. And therefore, the processing times will no longer apply for Portland. So even if, and depending on how long the case has been processing, it might be really close to an interview in Portland, for example. So I'm not exactly sure how far along your case is. But even there, if it was just a month from now that your parents would have gone to their interview in Portland, it's going to be switched over to Arizona, and the processing times apply there. Portland's pretty good compared to many states in the US. Arizona is about a similarly sized state. So it's about our approximation is about the same amount of time that it's going to take there. But definitely look it up online to double check. Your address is not changing, but the location of the beneficiary is what matters the most. Sometimes you're called in for an interview, by the way, so you'll have to navigate that. Okay, well, thanks for the great question. And similarly, the next question is about adjustment of status, but this is through a couple. How long is the process for getting a green card through marriage? So in order to accurately answer this, you got to keep in mind that once you file that big stack of paperwork, the adjustment of status, about 100 pages of forms, 100 pages of supporting evidence is what we recommend. On average, in Portland and also in other states in general, the process can take 12 to 14 months, sometimes faster in smaller states. We've had Alaskan clients really move through the process quickly, also Oklahoma, quite fast. But keep in mind about a year. And the process has a number of pitfalls along the way. USCIS could delay your biometrics. USCIS might not set up your interview on time. Your EAD could be delayed. So all these things often require you or your attorney to push USCIS and say, what's the holdup? This is outside of standard processing times. Sometimes you want to request an expedite if you have a special compelling reason that would justify that. So at least a year, sometimes less, but if you get a request for evidence, for example, that could delay your case even further. So make sure that you're ready and respond back to that RFE, request for evidence, as soon as possible, because that's dead time for your case. They're not going to work on your case until you send your RFE response back. But then you and your spouse will go to the interview, and if all goes well, a month after the interview, you will receive your green card in the mail. So there you go. Over to the next question. I can't find my vaccination record for my immigrant visa interview. Should I postpone my medical exam overseas? Okay, bummer about losing your immunization record, your vaccination record. However, you should not postpone I definitely recommend you do not postpone the medical exam overseas with the panel physician, because that could further delay your case greatly. There's a huge backlog at most posts around the world, and getting your interview set up, getting the medical in motion could derail your case for several months. If you know where the immunization record is, the vaccination record is, and you can get it, or a bureaucracy is going to give that to you soon, maybe you should just pressure them to get it to you before your medical exam. You could wait, and you could, in theory, push your medical exam and even reschedule your interview date, but that can create long-term delays that last months and months. And the State Department is not very sympathetic when people try to reschedule their interview. Their view is that you're lucky, this is their view, lucky to get any interview set up at all. And so they don't make much of an effort to invest in tech resources to help you reschedule your case easily. It's very clunky, very cumbersome, and very frustrating. So try not to reschedule your vaccination appointment and your medical appointment, because that's what they're going to do at your interview, at the medical exam prior to your interview, is give you more vaccinations if you need them. So your doctor will figure that all out and give you the vaccinations that you need in order to qualify for your visa. All right, next question. Do consular officers ask embarrassing questions at fiancé visa interviews? In our experience, thankfully not. Every single case, we've done hundreds of fiancé visas, all successfully, we're proud to say, and we've never had anyone angry about this particular issue, angry about a fiancé at the interview, your fiancé visa interview, the consular officer asking inappropriate questions, asking embarrassing questions. And especially for more conservative cultures like our Muslim clients, that would be even more of an issue. So thankfully, we have not had that happen. And the typical question is, how did you meet your spouse? How did you meet your fiance in this instance? How long have you known him or her? They usually don't probe a whole lot deeper than that. And the types of inappropriate, embarrassing questions that you might see on the movies or crazy YouTube videos, that just is not happening in practice. And every single consular officer that I've dealt with and met personally has been a professional, impressive person. There's always jerks out there, but most of these people like immigrants, actually want to go into foreign service because of that. Even though they're tired and worn out, they're pretty reasonable people. Next question. What should I bring to my fiancé visa interview to show my genuine relationship? Okay, great question. So yes, you do want to bring in supplemental evidence of your genuine relationship with your fiancé. When you filed a petition and you uploaded other evidence to the National Visa Center, the online portal, you are already providing proof of your genuine relationship. But yes, you want to supplement it at your interview to show that you're still together, to show that your relationship is still genuine and going great. So things that we'd recommend you bring in include pictures, include communication records. And when you provide pictures, we recommend that you you, the foreign national, print out digital photos rather than bringing in, for example, a photo album. They can't scan that. So put 4 pictures on a page using Google Docs or Word, drop in those digital photos, print it out, and then bring maybe 10, 15 of those photos that are printed to your interview. Second thing, like I mentioned, communication records, chat history, WhatsApp or FaceTime. And then finally, a third item, oftentimes a Western Union receipt showing ongoing love payments, payments made out of love to your special someone that you're supporting. And that demonstrates your ongoing commitment to your fiance. We often say a rule of thumb is 3 items. The rule of 3, bring in 3 new items that are recent in the last 6 months to help show your genuine relationship. There you go. Those were the questions for this week. Be sure to ask more next week. We love answering them. Take care. We'll be in touch.